Hello and welcome again to another episode of Battle Ready.
Ready.
Where today we thought we'd talk a little bit about what we'd like to see in the future from 3.0 battle tomes. And the first
One, two, three.
first one we want to talk about is the Seraphon.
Seraphon.
So we did one like this not too long ago talking about the Gloomspite. And we're really hoping for them. We want to see more Gloomspite.
They're the only destruction army that hasn't gotten anything ever yet, as of right now.
That's not even close to true.
The only thing that hasn't gotten a battletome or a
Yes, they
dwarf.
are the only army that hasn't gotten a battletome or a white dwarf.
The only
actually,
one.
you know what? For destruction armies, they are the only one that doesn't have a new battletome.
The only one.
So we talked about what we'd like to see in a new battletome, and we thought, well, why don't we talk about that for some of our other armies that we enjoy?
Seraphon.
And Seraphon being one of them. So what we would like to see. So some things I think we can say are almost certain, and that is when it comes to the sub-factions, they're going to take out, right now, like a lot of the 2.0 books, if you take a sub-faction, you have to take this command trait and this artifact, right?
So it designs how you play.
Right. So that'll be out, so you can take whatever artifact, whatever command trait. So I think some of those things we can expect.
Yeah.
Now, a couple things that I think I would like to see. The first one is I would just get rid of the, what do they call them? The asterisms, where you can pick each turn whether you get a bonus to run and charge or a bonus attack or a bonus cast.
I was never informed of this.
Yeah, we forget it all the time. We forget them all the time.
You never even told me I had these to start with.
You've read the book many times.
I think never read fast.
I would just get rid of that. I think it's unnecessarily complex.
Unnecessarily.
It's maybe they could tweak it into being some of the new battle tactics or something, sort of like they did with the Tzeentch book. But I would just sort of remove those.
Yeah.
What changes would you like to see?
I would like to see the different model factions, you could call them, work together more than just Kroxagors getting a buff from Skinks.
Yeah.
I'd like to see them work more.
There's a little bit of keyword bingo where
Yeah.
some things only work for Saurus, some things only work for Skink, some things going back and forth.
Like corn.
And I would like to see that reduced on the whole. I would like to see everything. You can have a little bit of it, because I think the lore about how the Kroxagor fight better when they're around Skinks, and some of that is sort of fun.
Yeah.
But yeah, I would get rid of that keyword bingo and just sort of let them be. Let them be how they be. So one thing I think I would change is that it's actually interesting you mentioned the skink and the Saurus keyword. It's really not cool how unsynergistic those things are. Mm. So it's hard to have both in your army.
Yeah.
Right?
I mean, we do it, but we only have
just one skink unit.
2, 3, 4 skinks.
Just the one.
No, we have the Bastilla. Has skinks on it.
Oh yeah. So it has the skink keyword, but when you get to a big monster, it's not quite the same thing anymore. I'm talking about the actual units, because I guess we have the Sync Star Priest too.
Yes, that's what I was gonna say.
So yeah, the book sort of makes you want to jam in one way or the other, and I think it would be funner to have things that are a little bit more of a mix. I sort of like the mixed arms approach. So one thing, if I had to pick another thing, and this might be controversial, but I would probably get rid of the whole Starborn summoning thing.
No.
I would literally just get rid of it.
No.
So partly that's because I don't like that play style. So this is just my own bias coming through, right? Mm-hmm. So that's part of it, and I recognize that. But I also think it causes problems in that the skinks do really well in the Starborn army. So it almost, again, it reinforces that divide that I don't like. And also, I think with all the summoning armies, the summoning armies tend to have overpriced units because they know you're going to get more units later on in the game.
Yeah.
And so I think a little of that happens within the Seraphon, well, except that if you choose Coalesced, now you're paying that increased price and you don't get to summon.
But you do get upgraded jobs.
You get other stuff, right? For sure. But it's like, I I don't know. So the Coalesced also gets I'm not Coalesced,
Sure.
Starborn. They also get the free teleport every turn. They can teleport
That's
a unit.
honestly kind of cool.
It is kind of cool, but I don't know. At least in the stories I've read, where Seraphon feature, they're much more often coalesced, where they're marching in, they're doing things, and that's sort of how I think about the Seraphon. So I would really like to see them lean into that, and maybe you have a faction that's Starborn, and they can get the thing like the bonus to bravery or the teleport or something like that. But I would sort of focus it in that direction, and I would remove most of the summoning. What are your thoughts?
I like the summoning because it's the only army that can do something good in chaos.
It's the only Order army that can do summoning.
Wait,
for
there's
sure.
other armies that can do something?
Well, Death can't summon, but it can bring units back to life.
Yeah, but that doesn't really count as bringing a brand new unit.
Destruction, same thing. They can bring units back to life with the Gloomspite's house. What's it called? See, you don't know either. No one knows. I thought you were
the Loon Shrine.
The Loon Shrine.
I do remember it.
So yeah, so there's the Death and Destruction do have that, but for Order, it's pretty much. I guess Stormcast have a command ability that does that, but it's there as far as like summoning goes, where you get points and then you spend them on units. They're the only one outside of Chaos, so I do think that's cool. I do think that makes them unique. I just think it's a lot more hassle than it's worth, and it's really made me, especially because the way that you get summoning points is you have to have a Slan as your general and an Astrolith Bearer, which we don't have one, and then Slan or an Oracle, so this Troglodyte, can give up their first cast to get D3. So you don't get it's hard to like really push into a summoning list, so it ends up being this thing you sort of have. I don't know. It's just not very enticing to me. So that's something I would get rid of, and then I would focus things more on the Coalesced side, and I would have them be all, if you give them 6 sub-factions or whatever, I would have one sub-faction be the Starborn with those benefits, and then I'd have everything else focus on Coalesced.
Maybe like special battalions? Because like in the book, they're known to be like...
Yeah, so when they get a new battletome, I'm sure there will be battalions available to them. I would like to see, so one thing that is a little bit sad is in 2.0 you had battalions that gave you abilities.
But you had to have guys for them.
Yeah, you had to put the guys in, and they cost points. You had to pay points to get the abilities. But they were...
not good?
Very, well, some of them were extremely good. And some of them were extremely not good. So, and then sometimes you'd have a army that had one or even a couple of those battalions that were War Scroll battalions that were really good. And they would use that and just dominate. And then you'd have some that had battalions that weren't very good at all. So they just didn't have access to it.
Yeah.
They just didn't get those kinds of good abilities. So I think maybe it's good that those don't exist. It just makes them too hard to balance.
Yeah.
But if one were to get them, I think the Seraphon would get them because I like that.
Yeah.
That is sort of cool.
They should also maybe get like maybe skinks get to hide in, like, they all get the Chameleon Skink's ability. They get to hide in the terrain, or the Nurgling's ability, where they get to hide in terrain and they pop out. Yeah,
I like that for Chameleon Skinks. Normal Skinks, I think, are supposed to be sort of chaffy and dumb most of the time. Although I know some people play them with the shoot, and they have 60 skinks, or I guess it's 30 skinks now. And so when somebody would come in, they would all out attack and just weight of dice, get a lot of hits and do some damage.
Now we know how to make it. Now we know how to make Scavadon.
Mm-hmm. So yeah, there's different ways. I think one of the things I think that needs to change though with the Seraphon is they have an ability that I think is really cool, but it's just completely unused a lot of the time. And that is that the bad terrain doesn't hurt them in their territory.
We never use them anyways.
Right, well, that's the thing. Is because we never use the mystical terrain, we just don't... It's like a wasted ability, right? So maybe they could change that to something else where while they're within their territory, they all get +1 save.
Or
right? And when they're outside of their territory, they lose that.
Or they're immune to battle shock while they're in their territory.
That's another great example. Immune to battle shock while they're wholly within their territory. So that communicates the fact that they've created this as their home. Right?
Yes.
They are home here. They're protected. They're unafraid. They're whatever.
It'd be a little different if they were attacker. Like if Seraphon is the attacker, you change it.
Maybe, but I just think if you go outside your territory, I think that covers it.
Because if they were on the offensive, how would that be their home?
Yeah, I get it, but the way that the battle plans work is each side has their own territory, right? So you just assume that on coming into this area, they're already starting to shape it.
That's interesting that they can just pick up a rump shaper.
Well, it's like a rump shaper ship.
Oh, right.
So I think that is good. Other than that, I think I really like the scaly skin as modified, so that skinks don't get scaly skin.
Unless they're on monsters like
Monsters do. I think you could have a sub-faction. If you have one sub-faction that's like the Starborn, you could have one sub-faction that gives them bonus jaw attacks, right? You could have one sub-faction. So that you have the things that they get in Coalesce right now could sort of be broken up. Some of those abilities could be broken up among other sub-factions. That would sort of be cool.
One could be kind of slam-focused.
Yeah. I think that would be good, and I think that you could have a couple of abilities that are sort of like applying to everybody. And I know that's what the asterisms. I know that's what they do now. They sort of apply to everything. So maybe you could do something like that. But I would like to see it as sort of an ongoing passive ability, like what we're saying, how that you don't have battle shock in your territory or whatever, rather than something you have to another thing to remember and pick every turn. I think that's not as good.
Yeah.
All right. What about models? If they were going to come out and make a new model, either a brand new model, brand new hero, right? Or if they were going to take an old line and refresh it to make it look cooler, what would you think? Or what would you like, I should say?
I would like to see some sort of chameleon skink hero.
A chameleon skink hero.
Because the chameleon skinks are already kind of small models.
Mm-hmm.
So why not just kick them into heroes?
That is sort of cool.
I would like to see him
I hadn't thought about that. That would be a cool hero, almost like a little, like an assassin.
Yeah.
So you give him the ability to give him some kind of warp or teleport or something like that. Maybe he can jump from terrain to terrain, and then he's got a really good attack against. Maybe his profile's okay against most things.
He can defend himself if he gets attacked.
But maybe he's got a really good attack against heroes.
Like some kind of crazy shooting attack. Like sort of how the Beast Skewer Killbow works.
Yeah.
Except against heroes.
Something like that. That would be really cool. That's a good idea. I like that.
It'd be like swinging them back.
Yeah, I think that's way better than my idea was going to be another giant monster thing. So I think your idea is way better. I like yours. What about what model? If they were going to refresh a model and say, you know what, these models are old. We're going to bring, like they did with Croak, right? Remember when Croak was this little tiny guy, right?
I know.
And then they made an awesome, cool model.
He was cool.
What would you like to see? What model would you like to see refreshed into an awesome, cool model? Maybe not huge.
Yeah.
It doesn't have to be a hero or whatever. But what would you like to see?
Maybe the Bastiladon, because all right now is a dinosaur with a little thingy on its back.
Yeah, Bastiladon. That'd be sort of cool.
And so it's kind of confusing if it acts like a mortar, or if the crystal itself just shoots lasers straight out.
I would really like to see new Croxagores.
Oh yeah,
Croxagores are resin right now, and they're okay. They're okay. They're not the worst model in the world, but they could look so much cooler than they look. You made them like real big alligator heads and really leaned into the horror, scary aspect of them. You could do something real cool, and you could also do the salamanders.
Yep,
look like that. They look pretty dumb. And that's actually a pretty good picture. You should see some of the other pictures people have of the salamanders. Pretty dumb. We don't have any salamanders.
Yep.
Partly because they look so dumb. I have not wanted to buy them. But if they created new salamanders, that might be sort of cool. No.
The chameleon stink looks like he just saw some things. He's like,
the chameleon skinks aren't that great either. But the new Warcry warband has 10 chameleon skinks in it.
And do they look good?
They all look good. And so if you need more chameleon skinks, getting that Warcry warband is probably the way to go, because those are going to be plastic. They're going to look good, and you have enough for your unit. So
I just realized something.
What?
Has any number of models. That means you could have like a 50s game.
Well, remember, this is for any kind of play, so open play. You can put any number of models in it. But if you want match play, you have to use the match play rules. Yes. So anyway, I think the bottom line is I would like to see a little bit of a simplification for the Seraphon. The Seraphon just have
so complex.
A lot going on. One of the nice things about them, though, is they have a pretty good roster. Mm-hmm. I mean, if you want cavalry, they've got it. If you want flying fighters, dudes, they've got it. If you want flying dudes, they've got it. If you want spellcasters, they've got it. If you want
giant dinosaurs, they are
monsters.
They're the only ones who got giant dinosaurs.
But I mean, anything you want for your army, like my army could really use.
They're mixed weapons.
They're
mixed arms. List.
Yeah, and you could lean into it and do all monsters, right? An all monster list. So you could do stuff like that. But they've got enough of a roster where they've got something, right? Not like, Nurgle's a little bit light, or Fire Slayers is a little bit light.
My Rune Son, my Rune Elder, my
Rune Father, my Rune Son. So there are some armies that don't have as many options. So I don't know that Seraphon needs a lot of new units, but I would like to see the units they have sort of consolidated a little bit. Not that you're kicking anybody out, but that because right now every unit, it seems, has some power helping other units. Mm-hmm. Like this one helps Skinks, and this one helps Saurus, and this one's got a command ability, and this command ability uses the hero phase, this command ability using the combat phase, and sort of weaning all that down, which has been their habit over the course of the last, all the 3.0 books. That's sort of the way they've been going. So I think we'll see some of that too. But I think if we streamline it a little bit, I think if we focus more, what I would like to see is a little bit more focus on Coalesced and a little bit less on Starborn. Final thoughts?
Also, I think the Skink Hero, the Chameleon Skink Hero, I think it would be even better if he made Chameleon Skink's Battleline.
Oh yeah, I think that would be cool. Mm-hmm. Yeah, once you have a hero that is a type, it's cool for them to be able to unlock that thing as Battleline. Yeah. And especially something with Chameleon Skinks, because when the Stormcast did it for the dragons, that caused problems because dragons are so powerful. And then if you have them as Battleline, you just have all dragons. You just have all powerful. So that caused a problem. But having Chameleon Skinks, I think, is less likely to be problematic. Although who knows? I mean, if the new War Scroll's good, or at least abusable, I'm sure you'll see people.
Bands of Chameleon Skinks running around.
People, oops, all Skinks lists.
And, no! No!
That'll be something. All right, well, cool. Hopefully, the new Seraphon looks something like this.
Chameleon Skink Leader.
I think that clearly we're not going to get everything right, and it might go in some crazy, totally different direction.
Oh, this land.
But I would like to see some streamlining. I would like to see some of that, and
oops, all slan.
Oops, all slan.
Just have slan Battleline.
That would just be all wizards getting killed. Well, anyway, this has been another episode of Battle Ready. Thanks so much for watching.